Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Sonic Movie Show. My name is Ethan, and with me here, as always, the one and only, Lord willing, Devin.
Yeah, whole day wasted.
Who said that? Is that a cartoon?
Supposedly, it's in Shadow the Hedgehog. Supposedly, is Charmy mimicking Vector about Espio's data retrieval speed.
Oh, okay, sure. So you didn't do the obvious one of that's a giant worm.
There was because I went to Charmy B quotes,
As one
online.
does, of course.
And I thought that was the funniest one. I mean, yeah,
Nice.
Shadow, you're so cool.
Yeah,
Obviously is on here. Hey, don't drag me into this.
Yeah. Those big guys are beating up those little guys, and they're gonna get us. Is one of them. Remember that? Because I had downloaded.
Well, there's a lot
all
from
of those.
Sonic Heroes actually on here.
He's a playable character, annoyingly enough.
I was scared because somebody took me, but now I'm free. I'm a free bee, free bee, free bee. Wee.
That's
Sonic
what this
Generations.
episode is. Hey, hello, hi, how are you? Welcome back. This is you watched us. We do video game movie reviews, and we do a Sonic movie news and news on the industry and some video game stuff and stuff like that. But the main thing that we do is we have a good time, and I'm pretty sure you have a good time as well. And
We have a good time yapping.
sometimes we run out of ideas for episodes, and we just need to pull from some sort of generator to power up our charges and make something fun. So Devin made a generator, not of electricity, but of a good fun Sonic time.
And when he means me, it's
well,
three generators online, but we could pretend it's
You
one
can take
that I
credit
press.
for stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically three of them. So really, you've made one system that just uses them as a resource, and I'd call that a generator.
Yes.
So explain
yes.
what's
But,
going on.
I was gonna say, for the real fans, the ones who've been here day one, or maybe go on our YouTube channel and there's a playlist titled "Free Video Game Ideas."
Right.
If you go on that, you can kind of see we've been doing this every so often. We basically pitch a video game idea. Typically, it's tied to Sonic the Hedgehog, either a character from the series or him himself. I think we've done ones in the past where it isn't Sonic related, but we somehow bring Sonic into it. I don't remember. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Sonic character is leading it, but
We've brought in other elements.
the genres and whatnot. I mean, and remember, every single game that we make is releasing exclusively on the Sega Super Remastered, or its
famous
handheld
system.
equivalent, which was Bible related, because each cartridge's picture was them kneeling and praying.
Right.
Because on the back of the thing was also a crucifix.
Yes.
That's right.
Because
that's right.
everyone always asks, how do we afford to make all these products? We're not rich. Well, it's the church.
Yeah,
They're
paid
rich.
off. Sorry. So like and subscribe to free us.
Free us from these
from
chains.
Yes.
It's like the 95 thesis or whatever it's called. I think it's not 95. Whatever.
85. 80.
A number of things on a piece of paper was nailed on a
Yeah.
church somewhere by some guy named Martin
And then when
Luther.
you're
I don't
12, you say the blah 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 feces because it's
Right.
right? And you're just like, oh, you're just
Right.
nailing shit to the wall. Anyway, that was today's episode. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah. No, so, usually we come in with being like, one of us will have an idea of, hey, what if Sonic had something to do with the polls in terms of like
That's right.
politics?
That was the last one, wasn't it?
It was. We should have done that one closer to the election.
I
but
think
it's
it
okay.
jinxed the election, actually.
I was thinking I forgot to, but I did think about it, but then I forgot to actually do it. Was on election day I was going to like post about that one, and I totally forgot.
Forgot that we did it at all, but yeah, great.
But we had that one. We had Agent Stone's like cafe visual novel kind of dating sim game.
Right.
Bunch of other ones, but usually one of us comes in to that episode with like, here's a rough idea. Let's keep rolling with that. Let's keep spitballing off that idea. This time, either of us, don't have character to choose from or whatnot. But yeah, I have 3 generators here. 2 of them are much closer to like what we usually do, which is we pick a Sonic character that we haven't made a game for yet, and it's a standalone game usually. Like they're the only Sonic character in it sometimes. We pick a character, and then we'll like pick a genre of a video game, whether it's, real-time strategy or action adventure or, shooter or whatever, right? We pick a genre, and usually we're very clever and, very original and come up with these. But like I said, we ran out of ideas.
Yeah, we get critical reviews, and, the checks keep coming. But now we're out of ideas, like Devin said.
We're out of ideas, and I have 3 generators.
To the devil's work.
And the 2 of them, I was going to say, one of them's a genre generator for video games specifically. Mm-hmm. One's a Sonic character generator. And then I have another one that you suggested to make it a little bit more difficult for us, I think, but in a good way, a more creatively challenging way, which is a movie plot twist generator.
Right.
So we have to somehow add that into the plot of the game, which will be interesting if we can't find a connection, but we'll have to work with it. So yeah, I have 3 generators here, and now we'll, give Ethan a number.
Give us each one thing, right? We're not picking off the list, right? Where it's giving us.
No, we're not. Or we don't know. I see the list, but I'm gonna have you give me a number. Let's say.
So it generated a list, and you're having me pick one off of that without knowing.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So my first question is, I already have lists up, but do you want me to press the generate button? Have a fresh start.
You know what?
For this
Do
episode.
it, because I'd like the idea of you not reading the whole thing and then you telling me, and I tell you a number, and then we're both like, oh.
Okay, because the Sonic one, for example, has pictures, but I can scroll up or scroll in a way where I can only see that the button that says generate. So I won't even know what we get.
Okay.
So I'm gonna press it now. We're gonna get 12 new ones. I have no idea what they are. So I guess we'll start here. I can only do 12 at a time for some reason.
And there's no visual component to this.
As of right now. Maybe in the future we'll figure something out. But this is the pilot episode for a reboot of our video game, make a video game series.
You all asked
I have 12.
I see all the comments. 7.
All right, out of 12, he gives me 7. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, because sometimes I've tested this generator out, and it will give us, like, not one singular character. It'll give us, like, a group of characters.
Okay.
This one we all know, generally.
Okay.
Well, at least 2 of the people in the image, it's, like, cropped, which is kind of funny. But you'll know what this is if you've played Sonic Adventure 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken. Team Dark is our character. So we get a variety here, or at least
Shadow,
we have to fit.
Rouge, and Does it say Team Dark?
Team Dark.
So that's Sonic Heroes then. That's Shadow, Rouge, and Omega, right?
Yes, I see. I just see Omega and Shadow in the picture.
Rouge is also in it.
Rouge is in this though,
Yeah,
because
the 3 of
we
them.
made a game for Rouge, and we're a big fan of Rouge.
I forgot we did that too. Oh my god.
That one's one of my favorite ones. Rouge Lone Gun, which is actually a fire title in my head.
That's the name of the
where
movie.
she's like a retired spy, but then her
People can watch that episode on youtube.com/@Sonic.
It's good. That one's one of my favorite episodes we recorded.
All right,
and I'll say there was 2 Sonic Hedgehogs on this list. There was classic Sonic, and then just Sonic the Hedgehog, and Pseudo Sonic as well was on here. But yeah, we have Team Dark, so lock that in.
Okay, those are our characters, our leading driving force. All right.
Yep.
So now we're gonna.
So I'm hoping we get a genre where this will make sense. I don't know how many there is. There's just a button that clicks generate, and it just gives me 1. So unfortunately, there's no number here. So you'll have to just take my word for it. So 3, 2, 1. Dude, this is too on the nose. The generator is trying to get us into a hole that is really challenging our creativity because the genre is adventure.
Okay.
So I'm just thinking of Sonic Adventure, which is what the Team Dark is in.
I already have an idea. All right.
But here's
Now,
the real one is the movie plot twist generator, which I can do. Looks like 10 at a time. I just pressed generate. So give me a number between 1 and 10.
3, because 3 plus 7 equals 10.
Oh, this is a good one.
What is it?
The characters discover they are living in a simulated reality. That's awesome. This is perfect.
Okay. So
I love this already.
our
This is a
characters
great
are Shadow the Hedgehog, Rouge the Bat, and Omega the robot.
one of them.
E102
Yeah.
Omega, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are in an adventure game, and they discover that they're in a simulation. Is the twist?
At some point in our plot,
but they
is
can't
the
be
big
the
plot
beginning,
twist.
and it needs to be like in the middle. Now, adventure is as a genre spans a lot of games call themselves adventure games. Like
Adventure.
Zelda have called themselves adventure. Sonic Adventure has had it in the name at least. I don't know if they call that in the genre. But generally speaking, adventure as a genre is about doing things for people or places. You are finding a problem and solving it, whether it's for yourself as like a person playing a video game, or it is a character inside a story or whatnot. That's generally speaking being like, oh, you have a problem, I shall solve it. But now I don't want to do like, oh, it's Zelda as an adventure game, so that counts. I want to take that away. We're going to go back to old school and about point and click adventure games. Are you okay with that? We're going to narrow it down to a screen. Because guess what, Devin? I've been playing just the perfect game literally the past couple days for this. All right? Have you ever heard of, and folks out here, if you haven't, please check it out, a game that came out a few years ago. That sequel just came out like 2 days ago, and I'm playing the first game. It's called The Case of the Golden Idol. Have you ever heard of this?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well, you can check it out. In fact, you maybe even do a Google search of it. What it is a detective mystery game about murders, all around Golden Idol, like IDOL, like a little statuette. What it is you see a scene frozen in time. I mean, it's a little bit animated and people are talking, but it's like frozen in time. And you need to figure out what the hell happened. There's always someone that's dead. There's always a bunch of people, and then they don't tell you who their names are. And you need to figure out what it is. And all it is, you're just moving a mouse around. And you're just clicking on stuff. I'm playing on PlayStation. I wish I have it on Steam because it's just moving a mouse around. And you're just trying to figure out what's going on in this one scene. Just what is happening here. And I feel like that is...
It's putt-putt for folks who grew up in our era.
Well, you're not moving a character around, but brilliant logic puzzle type of thing. But that's where I'm going to pitch out for our genre, is a point-and-click adventure game. These characters need to be in it, and I guess they need to discover that they're in... What do we want to say? That they're in the video game? That they realize...
They are the... Yes, that they realize... I mean, the actual prompt is the characters discover they are living in a simulated reality, which is perfect because video games are a simulated reality. So yes, they discover that either they're in the video game and they maybe break the fourth wall, or do they, if we really want to make this wild, they start like fighting you. Like you're playing the game and you're like, yo, what the... Wait, this guy's like controlling us. And they start becoming rebellious, maybe. I don't know. We can talk about that maybe in a bit, but that is the twist. They realize they're in the video game in some capacity, and what does that mean for them? Do they, like I said, do they become rebellious? Are they like, haha, yeah, well, video games?
I mean, here's the conundrum. In order for it to really actually be that twist, we cannot have a written ending because they're the ones that are deciding. Right? It would be individual based on your experience. My cartridges or disc is going to have or save file is going to be different than yours. If they are truly discovering that they are in a video game and not just acting out the surprise of a fourth wall break, they need to be sentient little programs, right?
Right, so they would have to have some sort of artificial
It's
intelligence
gonna be the
enough
most
to.
powerful video game of all time. We made our actual artificial intelligence for a stupid.
It
video
literally
game
becomes
to
Skynet.
and the goal is to torture them too, to make them realize they don't have their own fate in their hands, and then they have to fight for it.
With that, if we're gonna dive into it, I think the more I think about it, if we're not doing, like you said, a script where like, oh no, we're in a video game, haha, that's crazy, and like it's kind of a fun fourth wall break. If they are doing a thing where they're sentient, and every new save file is a new fresh start, right? They get their memories wiped.
Oh my god, are you killing them when you delete a save file?
Maybe, I don't know. That's something for you to morally decide. If you wiping
our save file's not a thing because once they realize that maybe there is a
you can end the game at any time though, and you could take away that sentience, right? So like if you didn't save, maybe there is no save. If you lose power or your console turns that thing off, you inject the disc, it's over. So we have that attachment to these characters, or maybe lack thereof. My thing is, I think if you design it correctly, which we're the best designers, we're the best team in the world,
naturally,
we can obviously do this. My thing is with their intelligence level is, depending on how you treat them, maybe that's how rebellious or lack thereof they are. Maybe they actually never really will discover they're in a simulated reality. Maybe that's the point of the game, is you have to somehow do it to where they don't know.
I would just say, again, we're talking about the spirit of the twist. Knowing that the twist is happening means you can't really be like, your goal is to avoid the twist, right?
Okay, so this is for the players. That we put something in the programming that they will at some point.
They don't know what's going to happen. And maybe we don't either. Maybe it's an accident on our end. You know what I mean? We're just like, let's just have an adventure game, a point-and-click thing. You know what I mean? Where like Team Dark needs to solve Eggman's I don't know, milkshake recipe. I don't know. They like some sort of.
I'm wondering how you interact with the game will make them react a certain way, and then the more sentient they become of this simulated reality, the more they're probably not going to work with you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're yelling out loud like, this game sucks, or oh, why isn't Shadow go do that?
It has a microphone built into it,
and as soon as you make a purchase, there is an automatic, you sign to terms and conditions that it is always open mic. Yeah. It's that's like any Amazon Alexa or anything, right?
Okay, I will say this because you talked about interacting with the characters and you talked about them wrestling for control. Here's the easiest way for us to do it without breaking your interactions. You click a character, you click a thing you want them to do, and then they go and do it. You are not like directly controlling them or anything like that. So let's say I click Shadow, and then I click the grandfather clock, fix the grandfather clock, and when he could just say no and do something else. But let's just say, for the sake of the video game and not just them running around doing their own thing and you just watch, they're only allowed to do things when you have said to do a thing. So you click Shadow and you click eat the apple, then Shadow gets to go do the one thing you wanted to do. But if you never say eat the apple, he doesn't get to do it. So they're
oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
They're like golems in that regard. Like you're the dark magician, and these are your golems. And granted, the game, we could have it in there like they're not doing anything that is wrong or unethical. Golems. You know what I mean? Like they're not doing. We're not making them like, oh, you gotta kill this person. Like no, like they're solving puzzles, but then they realize
we're trying to do a video game, and then they realize that their lives are,
Yeah, so are they allowed to talk then? I'm assuming they would need to communicate to the player that, hey, I'm in a video game. Stop. Like I don't know how. Like maybe Omega, meeting the robot, maybe this will be ironic that we kind of program him to be kind of like the nihilistic, depressed one, where once he realizes he's in a simulated reality, he's like, it just breaks his because he's already a robot conceptually, right. But him actually being in a simulation on top of that, he's just like, kill me, like end the game, turn the game off. I don't want this. This is destroying me. Maybe Shadow is the more rebellious one, but maybe he still wants to solve a solution. What is the solution? I don't know. That's maybe
And Rouge
up
is
for the player.
denialist.
Yeah, that she's the one who's like, no, there's no way
No, this
that
is
someone's
real.
controlling us.
I choose, exactly, but then like it's her that breaks the most at the end. Or maybe not, because again, we can't script. We give them the parameters, like what you're saying, but we can't write their actions, because then they are the ones that need to decide that. This is the easiest video game to write a story for, because you don't need to finish it. They do that.
No, I like that as there are 3 prompts of the denial. One's denial, one's like acceptance, but in a really dark way, and the other one is like combating it. What's the 6 stages of grief? I feel like we had 3 of them basically there. Sure. Close enough, but yeah, maybe Shadow's more of a bargaining kind of type where he's I want to fix this. I'm okay maybe knowing that I'm in this, but I need to have control.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because
he's chaos control.
Exactly.
Maybe that's part of the game. Is halfway through you're doing puzzles or whatever, click through puzzles, escape the room kind of things, and then to tie in more to like Shadow's backstory in the other games, chaos control. Maybe he thinks if he gets all the chaos emeralds, they can be free of the player's grip, for better or for worse. And then they can control their reality.
If that's what they want to choose to do. What
if they get enough information.
Right. And then if that's static information that is there to be found, right?
But will the player help Shadow discover that? Or will... This is not also a litmus test. I like the idea. This is a litmus test for the player, like a weird science experiment where we're like, okay, what do you do when you're now taking care of 3... arguably sentient beings in a virtual space? Do you help them? Do you keep seeing how they figure it out, how they break? Do you leave the game on for hours and they're just panicking? Like, there's so many options. This is really the most like one of a kind experience.
Chow garden again.
Yes, a Chow garden, but like,
but they're actually real. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah, this is a scary game. The more I think about it, at the worst, it's like I said, litmus test. Like the player is like the most evil, like morally wrong person. They're like, I love torturing these 3 freaks,
and at the worst,
and they click through adventure.
Being psyche. You know what I mean?
They'll never be able to play a game again because they're gonna be like,
right.
What if they're real and they don't know it?
Right. Do they actually feel the pain? You asked how are they going to communicate. I will say that they, within the context of how the video game operates. So if we have a thing where like the speech bubbles pop up and talk, that's how they communicate to us. We should, while this is obviously a much more interesting premise to talk about versus what the game is supposed to be, we should at least set whatever the stage for that is. I like the idea that Team Dark is trying to take on Eggman, right? Because that's their only common thing that they have, really. I refuse to think that Shadow is friends with Omega and that Rouge is friends with Omega. And if they didn't have a reason to do something, Shadow and Rouge wouldn't talk to each other. Mainly on Shadow's part, you know what I mean? But so we need to have Eggman in there. But this is a point-and-click adventure game. So this cannot be what you would typically have for a Sonic the Hedgehog platforming video game type of thing.
That's why I said puzzles, like Escape the Room. Those are the games I think of, and based on also what you described the other game.
Case of the Golden Idol is like a singular instance of a murder and trying to figure out what happened and whatnot. And so we would have like a series of those, maybe not too many, but we would probably also do we want a way for the game to exist beyond isolated levels for our becoming sentient characters to have a little bit more freedom to move about? Or do we want to keep them? Because I also like the idea of like, oh, the player solves the level and the sentient characters still want to do a thing. Too bad the game's moving on and they don't get to do the thing. I like that like torture of that.
I'm always imagining they're on screen, so I guess they always have to go to whatever room you're going to or direction you're going to. The player, that is deciding,
right,
hey, I'm opening this door. Also, that implies, by the way, for them being sentient, they start realizing the doors are opening by themselves. Maybe they're used to that because this is a video game world. Things work differently here. But then they start realizing there's like a path to this. There's like a direction. You know, I mean, I think that's where the breakdown can happen. Just want to throw that in there. But yeah, to me, I think they got to be on screen at all times. I think
you
if
got to
they're
be able
not
to
on
click
screen,
them in order to have them do something.
I like the idea that they just talk at free will. Like, so maybe at first, the beginning of the game, just like any click-through game, like, oh, only click on them when you need to do something. Maybe they start to realize, why do I always say, I can't open that door?
We say the
over
same
and over
lines
again.
Yeah,
like stuff like that would be kind of funny, where it'd be...
Do we want to have, this is just an idea, because these types of games often have a hint system in them, a small, an Oma Chow-like character to represent that. So Oma Chow is the one that tells you the hint, but like Oma Chow never becomes sentient. Or
that's
something
scary.
like that. And so like that's
maybe they start thinking it's like a religious, like if they start looking at it as God, they might think that's like a totem of some sort, where they're like, this Chow gives hints. Why?
Right. And why only 3 or whatever, you know, like
yeah,
are, you know.
And they repeat often, but only in certain areas. Does this mean something? Is this, you know what I mean? Like, I like the idea if like they don't realize they're in a simulated reality, they start to figure, like they start making up their own reasons too. I like that as well as a concept, that like,
and we can't control what those reasons are, because again, that has to be true sentience. Okay. This is I'm glad we rolled the dice in this particular manner, because this is a very, very interesting idea. Because right now, I am grappling with the thought of like, if these characters are to, you know, basically gain a sentience and we don't know what happens essentially after that, we need to still write out a game that can be solved. But then, ideally, for the sake of the experiment, have more beyond that for whatever goals we might want to, like, put the carrot in front of the donkey type of thing to these tortured constructs inside the computer game.
I mean, they might not think they're tortured, though. It might not be torture, but that is up for them to decide, and you, the player, to grapple with, right? Like, I think the best, because I was talking about it before, I don't know if I, like, got to this point until right now, but, like, the worst case scenario, like we said, is like the player finds out they're either morally bad or they can't play a video game ever again. Those are some of the worst.
Yeah, they're too much of a bad person for it to not actually affect them afterwards.
I think that's one negative possibility. The only negative is like they do realize like, oh, they're sentient and they don't know what to do, and then they can never play a video game again because they're afraid of closing this game and ending their sentience. I guess the positive, like the best possible outcome, I guess, if we have to make one, which, yes, they discover they're in a simulated reality, but they're okay with that, and you wind up maybe building a relationship with them. Granted, we can't communicate to them.
Right.
We're
not allowed to talk to them.
Only through the hand, the click.
Interactions that are already for the video game itself. Yeah, I agree.
Maybe there's like a level in the game that, like, let's say you're doing thousands of hours in this game, and the chance of getting this is like 1%, but maybe this is the true ending. I know we don't want to give this an ending, but maybe this is the closest thing to a true ending. The
actual game story needs to have a planned ending, but it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is my, I think, the planned ending, which is, I think this is the most satisfaction for maybe our simulated friends here. Is they have a good relationship with the player. Maybe they don't understand why they were made or anything like that. But maybe at some point they discover an area. I'm thinking like Planet of the Apes, where like they towards the end they find a cave that has like relics of the past or something. But something to that level where you the player don't even know it exists. But there's a place where you can somehow communicate to them outside of the click. I don't know what that needs to be. Maybe it's an alphabet system that's written on a cave wall, or I'm just thinking of the cave because of the Planet of the Apes. But like, you know what I'm saying?
Their Ouija board
of some sort in the game. Maybe that's what you're collecting. Maybe like there's thousands of like places you can go in this game. This game isn't just all into 10 rooms and that's it. This
It's
game
the
is
Sega Super Remastered, baby. We can do anything.
Yes, it is 1,000 rooms maybe, and there's
Sure.
10 pieces that make up 10 letters, and maybe those letters you can use to communicate to them, to tell them, hey, you're in a video game. It's okay. I will keep you alive, and I will give you that freedom.
Okay, but what if you say, hey, I'm going to kill you?
And you fail, I guess, right? I think that's the litmus test. This game's a litmus test to me of like, if you have the power of God, what are you doing? And if you
Shadow the Hedgehog.
But like, are you? And if they start to figure out that you exist, and you can control them to a certain degree,
if you play your cards right, you win the game. They're mad, but you win the game, and then a week goes by. There's a ring at your doorbell.
Oh my god!
It's E102 Omega, and he kills you. In real life.
So you're saying our company should make 3 actual living, breathing creatures, and we give whoever wins the game their sentience? That's crazy.
No,
I don't know. To me, I think I don't think there's winning the game, but I think the best possible solution.
It's just a what do you do, and like who knows? Because we don't.
Yeah, but I do like the idea if we put things in there for like, hey, if you go down the route of I want to communicate with them more effectively. Hey, if you find these 26 letters scattered throughout the world and they are sentient enough to understand that you're in control but also not trying to hurt them, maybe they collect these letters and you're able to spell out something for them. You tell them and they're able to understand that. I think that's like the best case scenario. And then you decide, maybe they all agree at some point. Because I also like the idea that we give them all these like prompts, right? We had Rouge with the denial, we had Shadow with the acceptance, but I want to either control it or fight it or whatever. And then you have Omega.
Desires closure, you know what I mean?
Yes. And then Omega is the nihilistic, like I want this to end. Maybe, we make sure that there's no way that like they're they can come out of that if they convince each other. Maybe that's another thing, because some players might just leave it on while they go to school or something, and then they're just talking to each other,
right?
While they're stuck in like, oh, we're stuck in lava land or whatever level we're at, Sure. So what are we doing? It's hot. Why are we here? Why can't we leave?
Yeah.
So but they're stuck, right? Like when they're physically like they can't move. They can speak and everything, but they just can't.
I like the idea of like, because normally in how this game would work is you would click a character and then click a thing you want them to do, and it's context sensitive. The game knows if you click this object, this door, the character goes and opens the door. They don't like slam their head against the door. They don't punch the door. They knows what it is, but once they've gained the sentience, in order for them to do anything that they want to do, they need to be given permission via you, the player, to do something. But you could be saying, go open the door, but they might not want to do that. But they're only allowed to do the thing when you say to do a thing.
Gotcha.
Now, here's the thing. This is a Thing video game sequel. So far, we've described a very interesting game, but we still need to actually delve into the Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. Like, this could be random people. This doesn't have to be Shadow the Hedgehog, Rouge, and it doesn't have to be Team Dark, you know what I mean? So, what about the game story? Like, is this a Chaos Emeralds thing? What is the Sonic
Maybe that's one of the... I like the idea of, like, they can collect letters, whether it's, like, some sort of, like, stone or something that has a letter on it. But I also like the idea, for just the sake of Shadow and his kind of, backstory in other games, is he likes the Chaos Emeralds. He wants to do Chaos Control. Maybe there's a way in which he does control the game. Eventually, you can't play it anymore.
Oh,
and that's if you collect the emeralds. And maybe as the player, you're like, yeah, whatever. That's what Shadow does. But you realize the more he collects, you can't actually make him go open the door. He starts opening other doors that you didn't want. Potentially, or interacting with items you didn't think you would want him to interact with. So I like that idea that, like, there's a power struggle there. I think we need to give our players, if you're trying to do a run where like a run, if you're trying to play this game where you're like trying to communicate with them and them to be positive, you don't also want them to you're trying to like grapple with like, how do I make sure I'm not over controlling them where they think I'm some evil mastermind or I'm like really in control, right? Like, how do I make them trust me? Because if they get too many of the emeralds and realize, oh, I can do this, they might be going down the wrong direction, even if it is freedom for them, but they might be breaking the reality more. Maybe Shadow creates a reality that's much worse than you, and that's maybe Rouge and Omega don't like that. So I like that. Maybe I'm trying to think, is there other things we can have Rouge and Omega want to get? Maybe Rouge is trying to do the actual mission of the game. Like, what is
right,
like
because
the
she's
original
in the
mission?
denial, right? So like,
What should she be doing?
I
So
just
she
wanna
wants to stop
say-
Eggman.
I just want to say, I know this doesn't really work like that in Sonic. It's more of a Mario thing. I like the idea, the collecting rings, and when they pick up their 100th ring, they all disappear because you've gotten a one up. But that's a Mario thing. That's not Sonic. Yeah, no, the Chaos Emeralds being this very, very hidden thing, which is it's like something that the characters would want to do, regardless if it's real or not, because you have that question, right? Is this a trick? Is this even, is your nihilism? I like the idea of the other Sonic characters being in the game, but maybe like the game story has like a very rigid, interaction set on like what is this character. Like, Tails is in this level or whatever for this part of this game, right? And this is what Tails' thing is, and these are the things he says, and blah blah blah, and like you could have the trying to like, how do we break Tails out of it? But he's not like you. He can't be like you. He's not the same.
Right.
He is the way he is forever. He looks like you. He feels like you, but he's not you.
Maybe they realize like Tails in one part of the game is completely different than the other one, and that's because it is a video game.
Right.
That like he only has the 6 things he can say in this specific area. Maybe that's like an obstacle the characters start to run into, where they're like, once they start realizing they're maybe in a simulated reality, is like, wait, why did they keep saying the same thing? Why do they keep saying the same thing? Should they, by the way, because explaining to a video game to like a world where there might not be video games is kind of hard. So I feel like there needs to be like really early on in the game, they encounter a game
Well,
system.
no, I mean, if
right?
if this is a world that has robots in it, they know what a computer is, and they know.
Okay.
It doesn't need to
I
be
guess it's
like a
simulated.
video game, like that they're realizing, because again, it's just that they're in a simulated reality, right? So I think that's easy for the literal robot to
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
come to grips with, but and Shadow was put to sleep, and it required computers, and I don't know, Rouge is a bat. Yeah.
But no, going back to like the characters, I'm okay with the other characters being in it, and they're like in different stages, and maybe they provide a riddle or some sort of obstacle that's part of the thing you click through. Like, oh, Sonic's like, man, I really want to go on this loop-de-loop here, but someone put rocks in the way. Can you help me move the rocks? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, right? Like we can have that. I still like the idea that like on the surface, when you first start this game, you think you're trying to beat Eggman. You're Team Dark, like you said. We're trying to beat Eggman. Let's say he's just doing the classic thing of, I'm building a robot army. I'm going to take over. I'm imagining a very fantastical world for some reason for this. I don't know why.
Really?
Imagining they start in like, they're like, I don't know, town or mansion or some place where like they've lived before. And then like there's a lot of like, to have 1,000 rooms, and I mean rooms in the sense of like screens that you can go to, like, oh, one screen is, you walking through the hills to another town or whatever, but it doesn't have to be that. But like, one area is Green Hills Zone loosely.
Sure.
One area is, the what's it called? The factory zone, whatever. Eggman's like
Yeah.
domain, basically. Like you can have those different areas. Maybe there's connections in between them that are like kind of just basic stuff that doesn't really have anything in it. But I think Eggman's trying to take over the world in some way or form, and that it's a problem, right? And that's why maybe her motives are, yeah, we need to stop Eggman because Eggman's gonna take over the world, and then once they start to realize they're in a simulated reality, Omega and Shadow are like, what world are we saving? Is this world even real?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
should we be stopping the real threat, which is the player potentially?
Potentially, right.
Or
If
is
they
the player
choose to
trying
think
to
that
help
way,
us? But why is he helping us? Does Eggman know? Maybe that's part of the thing. There's an option that you can try to convince Eggman.
But he's not convincible because he's not the same.
Right.
Here's something I like. This is a video game, right? And while there are hard-coded in interactions and parameters about how things can be changed within within the game, right? There are still ways where overlooked or what's the word? Mistakes maybe in code allow things that weren't intended to happen. And so we have these characters who are sentient but stuck within the rigid rules of this, video game, trying to enact their own will on their lives and their surroundings, coming across with a choice that they make, which causes the game to glitch.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps almost crash. And now the characters have to grapple with, we can't push the thing too far because then we risk everything breaking down forever. Because once you press reset and you didn't save, you're gone.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I like the idea that there's no save. As long as the game is running, your play time is going. So if you put another disc in, you come back and like, wait, what? I know that might hurt our replayability or people's interest in the game, but I feel like, we're in an online world. Once someone says, yo, this game is not what you think it is, people are going to buy it. People are going to be willing to reset their game when they think a good run's not happening. Or do we add an element where, like, when it's off, or whatever copy of the game, that disc you have is one of a kind, where you put that game in. So, like, you put that game in, and once you start playing,
discs are read only, so it has to be on the machine. That's what's running everything.
So it's your machine then.
Unless this is a cartridge-based game, because then you could put a little battery in it, like your Pokemon. Save file is saved because a battery is keeping a current through this one part of RAM that's keeping the game alive. You know what I mean? And that's where these characters' states exist.
What I'm trying to say is, like, let's say you do turn off the game, take the disc out, whatever. When it's off for them. But, like, they somehow maybe know, like, maybe they start to figure out that, like,
it's like going to sleep. You don't experience it, but when you wake up, you know how long it happened. And when you did it, Because
I kind of like that being like...
And no one willingly falls unconscious. You try, and it happens to you. And I think the same thing. Like, it happens to them. They didn't choose for it to happen.
Because I like the idea that, like, no matter... Like, people are like, oh, I want to make a new save. You can't. Like, you're locked in now. You decide. You could leave it... You can never put the game back in. But will that kill you inside? That you have... sentient people asleep for possibly eternity. Is that fair? I want that question to be.
Then that's like more of like, oh, this is a cursed object. Don't wake it up. You know what I mean? Or Rouge the Bat will kill you.
But think about the sales we'll get, because it'll be a phenomenon. People are like, yo, this game is
and it will not be something we've planned, so it'll be a shock to us. And I guess we got to capitalize on it, right? We got to just be like, no, I don't need blah blah blah, anti-capitalism.
No. I just think it's funny of like pretending we don't know what's gonna happen, but even though
this is supposed to be,
we know the plot twist will happen.
Well, I mean that plot twist is just generally what we would expect something to happen as us IRL game designers in this fictional reality. When we do make this, We don't know that this is happening. We've just made the choices that allow
okay.
artificial general intelligence to happen 3 times in a video game. You know what I mean? On someone's PlayStation. Or no, on someone's Sega Super Remastered. Sorry. All right. How much is this video game? What's the power draw on this? Does it cause your console to explode because it's all of a sudden a supercomputer?
Well, our computer...
people?
Well, we know that the
Sega-
Sega Super Remaster
Fair enough.
is the best console of all time. There'll be nothing better because it is the best. It's best human creation.
It runs on Bitcoin. No.
You start to wonder if we're in a simulation, because how were we able to make something so powerful? We have to have had divine intervention of some sort. And then that's the real ending to this game, is you realize you're in the game too.
They might be more real
And
than
then
you are.
And you start realizing, yeah, I am just doing things. No one is...
I only have 6 things I say.
Yeah, why do I need to open this door over and over again?
Just, all right. Okay. I think.
What are we calling this game? That's always our last question. What are we calling this game?
The name cannot have anything to do with the twist because it wasn't supposed to be planned. So it's just honest to God, you would have to have it be called Shadow the Hedgehog something. If we're being serious about making a video game, Team Dark is our cast, but it's Shadow the Hedgehog is the character.
Shadow the Hedgehog, Team Dark. It's kind of boring, but that's what it is. Team Dark Adventure, Sonic, Shadow the Hedgehog, Team Dark Adventure. Because it'll sell because they're like, oh, adventure, like Sonic Adventure. Oh shit, it's a point and click. Okay, whatever. I guess I'll try it.
Shadow Adventure. I'm just make it short and sweet.
Shadow Adventure. I still like Team Dark somewhere in there because it's funny. It's like, hey, don't worry.
They can be on the back of the box. Team Dark.
Team Dark is here.
Yeah,
play as your favorite other two characters.
Yeah.
Omega and Rouge.
Okay. As always, the Sega Super Remaster video game costs $349.99. But I mean, it lasts forever.
No sales tax though.
No sales tax. Oh, that's right. I forgot that we did something like that.
I don't know if I don't remember. I might have just made
like
that one up.
We would have said. It was like
No
4
tax.
years ago that we did that episode where we made.
So you will get a penny. You will get a penny back if you give him $350.
That episode was titled "Sega's Surprising New Console."
It's
what a clickbaity ass title we gave that.
I might have to re-listen to that one next time we do one of these, just so I have
man. I'm glad
more
it's not
context.
a video one because I don't want to see what I look like back then. But all right, well, you know what? You're seeing what we look like right now because you're hopefully watching this on YouTube. But remember, folks, this is the Sonic Movie Show, a weekly podcast about video game movie reviews, Sonic stuff. We said all that stuff at the beginning. You can hit like and subscribe. At some point in the middle will be a subscribe button. You can click that. It's colorful. Click the colorful button in the middle. Also, another video is probably somewhere else on the right-hand side of the screen. This background is very dark. I never make any dark backgrounds, and now I remembered why. Because a lot of the elements don't show up all that well on
I'll
black.
say, though, I do really like the kind of rainbow
Thank you.
ness though on the black, because it does give me movie vibes. I feel like this is like what you would see where it's like Dolby Vision, and they're trying to show the spectrum of colors. So I like it for that reason.
Well, thank you very much. And hey, if you didn't know what we're talking about, I mean, we're on YouTube. Give us a watch, a like, a subscribe. I said all that stuff already. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And hey, reach out to us on social media. I don't know what you should say, but we're on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and I think that's it for now.
Say that you want to play this game and that
I want to play. Oh, you're telling them. Say you want to play this game and that you're willing to give us $349.99 for it. Even though we're not going to charge you a dime for the experience of this podcast. So thank you all for watching. And remember, as we always like to end this episode with our catch phrase, caught phrase. Sonic.